this is a big one, and I've asked a project executive that I respected a lot what the answer to this one is, but I'm going to ask you. When you think about the real objective of a project manager, going back to that loop, what is their actual mission, so that we can bring it home for the listeners?
Okay, so the actual mission is
Yeah.
I'd go back to the book by Patrick Lencioni, Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and a quote in there that says, if you could get all of the people in an organisation rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry, any market, under any conditions, at any time. If you could get everyone, the PM's job is to get everyone headed in the same direction. If he could do that, you'll build any project under any circumstances, ever gets thrown at you at any time. That's my opinion. In my opinion, that is his number one job.
I love that, and kudos to you for pronouncing his name right. I always get that wrong.
That took a lot of practice to get that right, especially for an
Yeah,
Aussie.
because
That did take a lot of practice for me to get that right. Right, this, if you haven't seen one of my videos before, this is the first time here. I'm Beanie and I help GMs get their project delivery teams on the same page. And then this is the tricky bit. Keep the little buggers on there. That is the hard bit. Keeping them, all the cats, herded into one corner and heading in the same direction. Anyway, in today's video, what we're going to look at is who this affects, how much it's costing us in our project delivery teams, particularly the gap between operations and the projects teams, where we make it happen, where we get them on the same page, bit of timeline, what it should look like for a project. We would forget about all this front end stuff that's got to happen before a project even kicks off. We don't sequence it and we go backwards and forwards like, I used to call a bloke that used to live next door to me up in Gladstone. He used to do renos, okay? And he couldn't plan to save himself. And he would be in and out in his ute 6 to 8 times a day. I'll say to him, Mrs. Here goes the fiddler's elbow again. What's he going to find now? We're going to see how we keep them, the little buggers, on the same page on a daily basis. Because this is the PM's key job, right? I said it at the start there. PM's key job is to keep everyone heading in the same direction. Trouble is, he's got a lot on his plate as well, so he needs what's known as a wingman and catalyst to help keep him heading in the same direction as well as everyone else. And we'll look at why it works. And I'll run you through a little process that I've been doing here. You'll see I'm up to day 54 of 90, called ORCA, O-R-C-A, which I learned out of the book, The Afterburner Advantage by Christian Bukosis, who used to be a Top Gun fighter pilot. The Air Forces execute their missions 99% of the time, what they call flawlessly. They don't aim for perfection. Well, they do aim for perfection, but they're not worried about perfection. They're worried about flawless. Flawless means they got the job done regardless. The reason why they execute that well, that high, since about the 60s, I think he said, they've been using this process called ORCA, which is a debrief at the end of the day. You may have heard it in lean terms referred to as continuous improvement, which gets a bit of a bad rap. This is next level of continuous improvement, ORCA is, when you do it right. I'm going to show you how to do it right today. You want to get everyone on the same page, you got to have a page to start with. This is, and I am going to do this on every project that I go on from here on in. I just learnt this year from a guy called Jesse Isler, and it's called, that camera going to work for me or not? If it will, if you press the right button. The big ass calendar. We should have one of these. A lot of what I do is, I'll just flick you to a next screen so that we don't have.
We're here with 3 powerhouses in the lean sector.
Some people saved money, made more profit. Recently, we've had a company who saved 8 weeks.
We went to the wrong screen there for a second. Visuals. We want to get everyone on the same page. Everyone needs to see what that one page looks like. To me, we should have a 12-month calendar put up at the start of the year if we want to keep ops and projects teams on the same page so that they can see what's coming up. What is our current priority? There's 2 types of tasks that we do. One's the priority, and the second one, I don't know where the hell those balloons come from, but I like them. The second one is, funnily enough, a secondary. You can't have multiple priorities. We've got a priority, we've got this project that we need to work on. Everyone needs to know that that is the priority. I'm going to speak to this later on about why we don't even look at all the things that need to happen before we get on site that are vitally important. Big ass calendar. Well, everyone on the one page, this is high level. It's not what's known as our TAC plan. It's not how we're going to execute. This is our big milestones. This is the direction that we're heading in. We're heading that way. Everyone get on board because that's the way the train's going. All right, let's go back to, let's run through how this actually works. I'd love to know how those balloons come up. If you did it, can you drop a comment there? There's, if you could too, please. Actually, we don't need that one at the minute. We'll go back to this one. I'll put a question there. What's the first sign that your teams are actually on the same page? What's the key indicator for you? Let's put this somewhere at the road so it's not right in front. What we're trying to see on the whiteboard there. That'd be better, Beanie. Over that side there. Let's move this across here. Put that down there. What's your first key indicator that they're not on the same page? All right, let's go through our little story here. And these as well, there's a reason why all of this is done a specific way. Our brains learn in a specific order with specific images. The reason why I do works more than anyone else is because I look at how do we get someone intrinsically motivated to get it done? Not what do we need to do. Actually, I'll play you this video right here. There's a key sentence right at the end of it. See if you could pick up what it is.
We're here with 3 powerhouses in the lean sector.
Some people saved money, made more profit. Recently, we've had a company who saved 8 weeks of production time.
We need to put them in the best position to survive, be flexible, be productive, be agile.
There's no substitute for direct observation. To see the turnaround of his company is just mind-blowing.
Tools and technique, that's the easy bit. It's getting your leaders engaged, motivated, and being able to sustain it. That's the real challenge.
Tools and techniques are the easy bit. Is getting your leaders engaged, motivated, and able to sustain it. Get on the same page, keep little buggers on it. That's the hard bit. Okay. So we got poor old AGM, CEO, whoever he may be, she may be, up in this corner, just here. They run around, and this is constantly going on in their head. We need to get everyone on the same page. As I said, that's only the first part of it. We need to keep them on it as well. What's happening when we look at it from a lean perspective is there's 2 types of work that we can do. One's the green work, which is called non-value-added value-added activity. Value-added activity means we're actually changing the product and we are progressing the project. Everything else is known as non-value-added activity. Now, there's a certain percentage of non-value-added activity that you actually have to do, unfortunately. But there's a big percentage of this that doesn't even need to get done at all. Share some stats in a sec. If we want to move twice as quick, we don't need to do twice as much. We don't need to double that again. What we need to do is reduce that figure there by 10%. So if we're getting 20% value-added activity instead of 10% value-added activity, we're moving twice as quick. Get twice as much done. This is the difference between, there's a guy called Ari Meisel, and he talks about you can either be productive, efficient, or effective. Productive just means you do more. Efficient means you do more with less. Effective means you do more of what works. So more of what works is the 10% value-added activity. So if we want everyone to be more effective, we can double that figure quite easily inside 90 days. If we can get them to focus, get them on the same page, and keep little buggers on it. You can be highly productive and effective and efficient at producing non-value-added activity. And you see this all the time. There's people that race around, they've got 100 things going on, they're phone calls and emails and pings and dings and rings, and they're running around and they're telling everyone how busy they are. Doesn't mean they're actually delivering anything. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. They can actually be hurting the system, slowing the system down. Shopify meetings are one place where we can have a lot of non-value added activity. Shopify put a timer on their meeting invites to make people aware of how much of the meeting costs. I think a meeting with 3 people costs them somewhere between $700 and $1,600 for a 30-minute meeting, 3 people. There's a figure kicking around, which is that if you've got 100 people in your business, it's not based on anything, it's kicking around, but it's, I did some calcs the other day on what a 300 person site project and contractor team, how much they spend in meetings, and it was like $43 million over. It was based on fairly low figures. If you want the link, just ask me for it. $43 million wasted in a 12-month period. So they're saying about, if you've got 100 people, you can be burning anywhere up around $2.5 million per year just on poorly run meetings that are doing this. Non-value added activities, no agendas, people going off on fucking tangents, grandstanding, people just wanting to have everyone else sit there and listen to what they're actually saying. So that's, we need to curtail that. We need to get this. If we can double that, we could double that inside 12 months, which can. No dramas at all. Move that from 10 to 20. What's that going to do to your bottom line? All right. What happens is we've got this 2 quadrants down here. We talked about fighter pilots who execute flawlessly. That's because they are on the same page. So they can execute flawlessly. They know what the mission is, they know what their steps are for the missions, and they all know their roles. Down on this corner down here is you've got everyone choosing their own adventure because they don't have a big ass calendar to refer back to go, what is the actual priority, what should we be working on here today, what needs to happen first, where's the business going, where's the overall system, global optima, what is the key for that? And you've got absolute chaos because everyone's choosing their own adventure. We talk about we want to get everyone on the same page. So communication is key here, right? We've got email going, then some of it's going through Teams. Someone else is using fucking WhatsApp. There's text messages flying left, right, and centre. We've got conversations going on, and we've got meetings happening. All with people that are choosing their own adventure and deciding what the priority is, where the big picture is, where we need to be going. In Exponential Organisations, which is a great read and one of the frameworks that I use, they talk about interfaces. You have to have an interface. So we want to take what the big ass calendar says, the big picture, then break that down into who's doing what when. You need an interface to take all of this noise down here and remove it from going all over the place like that to heading in the one direction like that. I use Trello board and process either called Kanban or Scrum, whichever one you want to really call it. I prefer Scrum. Kanban's more of a single person thing, but either or either. Very simple. What's ready to get done? Ready to happen? What are we doing? What's stuck? And what's done? That interface takes all this noise down here. You can do this into Teams. You can pull Trello into Teams, or you can have a Teams planner board, which is set up the exact same way. I don't care how you do it, what platform you do it in. There's hundreds of them. There's Jira. Jira's too complex for me. I like Trello because it's nice and simple. Simple means it gets used and it gets done. As I say, you can do it on a Teams board, just the same way. So we have a way to get everyone headed in the same direction. All right, once we've got to head them in the same direction, we also need what's known as theory of constraint to sequence them. So the right thing is getting done at the right time. Spoke to this before. I've spoken to this in previous videos. If we had the same obsession with flow in the construction industry that we do with speed, we think speed's the key to getting everything done. It's not. Speed's the key to creating more of this stuff, more waste. Same obsession with creating flow, getting our stuff sequenced right, we would build everything within reasonable time frame, within budget. If you look at this is where we've got the overlap between project teams and business as usual ops team. It's probably going to take us realistically about 3 to 6 weeks to mobilise the team to site, minimum 3 to 6 weeks to mobilise the team to site and kick off a project. Project team, or the PM or whoever it is, they think they would just call some people, get them there next week and we'll start. They don't take any of this into consideration. All the other units in the business that need to be able to do stuff. So you've got your estimating. They need to hand over the estimate that they did, that won the actual job. Finance needs to do their part. Bank guarantees, all that sort of stuff has to be set up. The execs have to do their checks and balances, their sign-offs. Mobilisation team has to get their people in place, and logistics has to get the gear to us. This is not fully comprehensive. That's just a few of the things that I thought of off the top of my head that need to happen. What we use is what's known as a TAC plan. TAC gives us a drum beat and a rhythm that we move to, okay? So we need to know that we've got to go through all these phases. So estimating can work on project 1, then they can hand off to finance. Then they can move over to project 2. All I've done, the TAC plan actually works we use it out in the field to sequence our trades. It'll work the exact same way. So you go by time, how long each one of these is called a TAC wagon, so that might be a week. Let's say that's a week, each one. They need a week to do their stuff. We can see how far that's progressed, where it's sitting on a timeline. We have a timeline, not a Gantt chart, which are a crock of shit. We've got a decent timeline that we can watch to see when we're actually going to get on site and correct if we're falling behind. So you got a timeline across the top, and then you have areas split into areas down the side. You could do the exact same thing. I've done this with data science teams even. It's an extremely powerful visual. Again, this is a page. Got a page. Get everyone on the same page and keep them on it. Why we keep them on it is by showing them this is when you start, this is when you finish. That's what you need to get done. Who is doing what, when. All right, so we've got an interface which drives our TAC plan. Who's doing what when? How do we keep little buggers on it on a daily basis? First thing that I start with is the debrief, which happens at the end of the day. Everyone's got the reason I go to a debrief first is because everyone's got some sort of planning system in place, whether it be good, bad or ugly. They do something to plan their works. Very few, if any, I've never seen it done, actually debrief at the end of the day and go, how do we go today? What actually happened? What did we get done? So, at our debrief, we start this at the end of the day to start with. Then we introduce what's known as flex planning later on. We're teaching them to see 2 things. They're learning to see this waste that's going on up here because it's getting flagged up on the board. If we don't keep everyone in sequence here, we're not going to get that. That's not going to fit within the 3 to 6 weeks. And we're teaching them to see flow. If you don't finish your part there, you're going to affect the net finance, which is going to affect the execs, the mob, the logistics. Stops the choosing your own adventure path there. So if we've got a problem, we stop and we fix it on a daily basis. ORCA stands for objective. What was today's objective? What did we need to get done? What were the results? Did we get it done? Did we not get it done? What caused us to not get it done or to get it done? And what actions do we need to put in place tomorrow to make sure that we don't have the same issue again? Continuous improvement, ramped up, so it compounds and actually get benefit from it. What we then do is need to share that with everyone across the organisation. We need them on the same page. So we do quick lessons learned via a video or photo. It's best if you just run these sessions, and then you can do this all in teams. You could run, I use a platform called School, but you could do this in teams just the same. You can set your teams meeting up. You can have Copilot go on there. You can transcribe at the end of it. You can leave the video sitting there so anyone that didn't see it can go back and reference to it. You can have it pull out the key bullet points, the key learnings, and you could even tee it up so it sent those out to everyone. Or you put it in a central spot, which is what I do. I put it in School. create those lessons learned, then we create what's known as ORCA 10, which is disseminating information laterally across the organisation. We've done that, we go back, we do it again. It's like a flywheel. Every time we do this, you get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm on day 54 of my ORCA streak at the moment, doing daily ORCA live. You can go back and watch them all, apart from the Christmas Day one. I didn't do that one live. Last 54 days, there's a video there for all of them. You can go back and watch the first one and then see the difference between the first one that I did and the one, stop waving my hands around too much, bloody AI, and what I'm doing today. You'll see the difference, massive difference. Same thing will happen to you. Be consistent. All right, what works? So incremental actions. You only have to do small things to start off with. I've actually created a what's known as an ORCA wingman, which I'll show you in a minute. So they don't need to worry about how do I run an ORCA. Just go and you talk to the AI. It'll step you through the process. Incremental actions, which are compound, and drive 10x results, because we're increasing this and lowering this. It's simple. A mate of mine created a process for creating processes called GREAT. First step is you've got to get to the Gemba, which is where the work's actually done. This process needs to be easily recognised, which I've done there. It needs to be easy to do, simple. Particularly the ORCA process, or create an AI that steps them through it. It needs to be available at the point of use, where they are doing the work. And then they need to be tested and trained on how to do it. It eliminates the 8th waste, wasted potential. Once we've got everyone bought into this, we've got everyone turning up, ready to go, switched on, improving something every day, instead of just, oh, whatever, not my job to worry about that. We're all switched on. And it creates focus. Got one page, and we're keeping them on it. All right, how I fit into this is I play 2 roles. I become the wingman for the person who's running the project or the operations team. I got their back. I help them create the alignment that they need. As he said, tools and techniques are the easy bit. Getting your leaders engaged, motivated, and able to sustain it, that's the real challenge. That's the gap that I feel. Create alignment, show them how to avoid the traps, how to get from A to B the fastest, because I've been there and done this all before. Also fill the role of a catalyst, remove roadblocks to making this happen. This is why I do stuff like stick whiteboards on the wall, because you go to a site or a lot of places, you've got to get permission to be able to put a whiteboard up, and that could take days, weeks, months. Don't need permission. This one just sticks on. 3 minutes later, we got a page. Stick up a big ass calendar. In the first 20 minutes that we're there, we've got a page to get everyone on. Then we just start following this loop, keeping them on it. Engaged, motivated, able to sustain it. And I help mitigate the resistance to change, because there is going to be resistance to change, which is where this all falls over. It's turning up every day and doing your reps. That's a hard bit. Right, I promised you I would show you the ORCA process. So let's do that right now. New shift. It is Friday, the 16th of January 2026. This will it's got a set series of questions that'll step me through, so I don't have to think about, oh, what's the O in ORCA stand for? And then people arguing about how it should be done, how it shouldn't be done. This is the referee. This is the umpire. Takes you through. This is a home ORCA. Home ORCA, ORCA, HOME. Sometimes it doesn't transcribe pretty well. I speak too quick or something. Yesterday, 3 must-do tasks. Verify full kit. So it pulls up my top 3. what were the top 3 things that you said that you're going to do yesterday? What was the mission that we need to execute flawlessly? Verify full kit, write a physical Kanban ticket, complete 1 visible growth continuity action. Binary at this point. We're not telling you AI stories. Oh, I was going to do that, but it rained. Did you do it? Did you not do it? 1, yes. 2, yes. 3, yes. Takes the emotion out of it. This meeting is also blameless and rankless. We do speak to something, we speak to teams or roles. That role didn't get that done. We're not executing people here. Objective today, state one objective. The objective today was to run my Friday invite session, which was to tell people what's available, how they can work with me, which of course is the project reset, or what we call it, not system, project reset workshop. Get like that for a pitch, work that in. If you want to know more about the project reset, just reach out with the words project reset. Email me the words project reset. I'll send you the link. We can go and have a look. It's got the pricing, how it works, everything else, all on there. Yes, the objective was achieved. Almost there. Causes. Identify what actually created the results. I plan in the behaviours are I plan in advance. My day's always planned before I start. I write my Kanban ticket the night before, so when I come in the room in the morning, I know exactly what I got to do the next day. I have all my stuff prepped. I work with the Mox as the wingman for writing the posts and getting all the live done every day, and we verify full kit before we start. That's what caused me to still be here doing an ORCA live on LinkedIn 54 days after I started. The behaviours. That's what I do. Help get project teams on the same page, then create the behaviours or build the behaviours that are going to keep them there. Tomorrow's 3 must-do actions. Executable tomorrow only. Verify full kit. Write a physical Kanban ticket. Complete 1 visible growth. Right, I've got to pull him up here because he hasn't executed as planned. Yet again, we have failed. Last week, I thought we had locked in the fact that tomorrow is a Saturday, so there is a different set of tasks that we perform for weekends than we do during the week. We lighten the load. What went wrong? You told me that was locked in and that we didn't have to, you would just execute that when we got to Friday, and you didn't. This is part of the ORCA process. This is, we've got a problem, we stop and we fix it. You're right, this is another wingman enforcement failure, and it's the same class of failure as before. I'll do 3 things only. State exactly what went wrong, lock the permanent fix, correct this session cleanly without corrupting the ORCA sequence. What went wrong? The failure is not that the weekend rules don't exist. They do exist and were locked. The failure is I generated tomorrow's task without checking the calendar context at ORCA close. Little tip, AI is not infallible. This is a state check omission. Specifically, Friday ORCA must branch based on tomorrow equals Saturday. Instead, I reused weekday phase 3 task template that violates a previous locked weekend task. This is on me, not you. Permanent fix now. Once we add 1 explicit non-negotiable gate to ORCA. New locked rule effective immediately. Before step 4 actions, the wingman must explicitly determine whether tomorrow is a weekday or a weekend. Good, I like that. Operationally, if tomorrow is Saturday or Sunday, weekend tasks is set as mandatory, outreach is forbidden. So we've improved the process. Compounding or continuous improvement. If tomorrow equals weekday, normal phase 3 rules apply. No memory, no assumptions, no same day as yesterday. I will now treat Friday ORCA closes as a hard branch point, not a continuation. We now redo step 3. Tomorrow, Saturday, 17th. Correct output is verify full kit, write a physical Kanban ticket, post 1 short value or reflection inside school. Now we continue the sequence. 3 out of 3 executed. So I planned my day before execution, identified one objective and completed 3 must-do tasks. We're just collecting that as data to be able to forecast going forward. It'll be able to see patterns. I'll go back and say to it, go back and have a look at all of the daily executions, and is there a specific day when we don't do a particular task, or we're just collecting data so we can improve the process. Optional visual loop, not today. That's an add-on that we do sometimes, so I do it generally a couple of times a week. Record intact, day 54 of 90 closed, ORCA streak intact. Tomorrow's 3 must-do tasks, verify full kit, write a physical Kanban ticket. So I always get it to put that right at the bottom, so that first thing in the morning, I'll write a Kanban ticket now, but when I come into my office, I'll check it and go, what were the top 3 tasks for today? That drive, the big arts calendar, driven by this interface, and create and flow. All right, if you like that, then you love this. As I said, I help EGMs, project directors, get the project teams on the same page, then keep the little buggers on it, build behaviours that keeps them on it. Want to know more about that? Reach out with the words Project Reset Workshop, and we'll speak soon. We're going to give you for an outro today. Something different. Little video from my old mate Steph.
One of my biggest strengths is being able to be coachable and be able to be open-minded about different perspectives and to be challenged in that way. Obviously having a strong conviction of who I am as a person, what my strengths and weaknesses are, but you also have to be open to, you know, either experts in the field and the ability for somebody to kind of pull the best out of you. You have to have a team around you, and nothing that you do great in this world you do by yourself. So invest in that, because that's huge.